field of 64 is upon us as the regionals of college baseball begin this weekend, and Alex Box will be hosting a regional in Baton Rouge as LSU welcomes in Rhode Island, Little Rock, and Dallas Baptist. Hunt Palmer of 104.5 there in Baton Rouge will join us to talk about the LSU Tigers and to talk about the Baton Rouge Regional right here on this edition of the Baton Rouge Regional Preview Show.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Those of you on Tide 100.9, look out. You're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
And with that, we want to welcome you inside the Baton Rouge Regional Preview Show. And Heath, when we do a deeper dive into the teams that are in this regional, Dallas Baptist comes in with a record of 40-16, and Rhode Island is not too shabby either with a record of 38-20. So both of those teams are going to be pretty interesting to match up with LSU if they get past their opponent of Little Rock.
Yeah, looking forward to this regional. Alex Box is always fun when in regional play, and so looking forward to that. They didn't get to host last year. I know they were pleading and hoping. Ben McDonald even came on our show and was pleading a little bit for LSU to get a regional. They just didn't have the resume last year. There was multiple teams ahead of them that were more deserving, but this year there's no doubt. And so postseason baseball returns to Alex Box. Looking forward to seeing it. And Stephen, I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of with Ben McDonald. I like old Alex Box better than new Alex Box, but it's still postseason baseball at the Box.
Heath, let me say this. The three teams that I just mentioned have a winning record. Little Rock comes in 24 wins, 32 losses. So, to break down the Baton Rouge Regional, we are about to be joined by Hunt Palmer of 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hunt, how are things with you as we sit here ready for the postseason baseball once again at Alex Box?
Well, you just said it. I can't be any better. There's nothing I like more than postseason baseball at Alex Box Stadium. We hadn't had it in a year and a half, and so this is a pretty fun town this time of year when the Tigers are playing well. They played very, very well, really all year. Not perfect, but very well pretty much all year, and they've earned a spot to play at the Box until they can get to Omaha, and it'll start on Friday.
So, Hunt, briefly, if you would, give us a recap of LSU in Hoover, because the Cajuns really traveled very well to Hoover this past weekend.
Yeah, a lot of fans went, and that was something I was interested to see because I'm very much for the single elimination tournament based on the baseball. I think it doesn't force you to tax your pitching too much. The teams that have kind of already got their postseason fate sealed don't have to overextend, and you got a chance to play your way into a host like Tennessee and Ole Miss did. But the fans were who I was a little bit concerned with because, are you going to pack up and go to Hoover if you're only guaranteed 3 hours of baseball? You used to be able to be guaranteed 2 days. It was double elimination tournament. You could at least get 2 games in. Now you could be out of there really, really quickly. But a lot of teams showed up, and LSU certainly sent their normal contingent of purple and gold. As far as the way LSU played, they didn't hit worth the flip. And that's kind of been the case with LSU away from the Box all year. Now at home, they've hit. They hit Arkansas staff. They hit Tennessee staff. They hit Mississippi State staff. They go on the road. They haven't. They didn't hit really at Oklahoma, save one game. They didn't hit at Auburn. They didn't hit at Texas A&M, and they didn't hit in Hoover. Now, they didn't have to hit in the first game because Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson were phenomenal, and they beat Texas A&M by themselves. And then you didn't score a run for the first time all year in the Saturday game. But your bullpen was great, and that's been a big question for LSU after their 2 main stoppers. So the real offensive struggles have come away from Alex Box. They don't have to play away from Alex Box for 2 weeks now, so I don't know if it's a huge concern. But the pitching looks to be rounding into form as it has really all 4 years under Jay Johnson, so that's certainly a positive.
Yes.
Hunt, I want to ask you, and I'm trying to ask all of our guests this: who is one hitter and one pitcher? It could be a superstar, an all-conference guy, or it could be someone in the bottom third of the order, or a midweek pitcher or a bullpen guy. But who is one hitter and one pitcher that LSU needs to step up and to this team to ensure them getting to Omaha? Who would be that one pitcher and one hitter?
For the pitcher, I'm going to go with Zach Cowan. Anthony Ianson and Cade Anderson are the 1-2 at the top, and everybody knows about them, and that's as good a 1-2 punch as there is in college baseball. But I think that you pretty much know what you're going to get from them. So if you're talking about stepping up, those guys just are what they are. Zach Cowan's been brilliant for LSU all year. He's a Wofford transfer. He was their Friday night starter last year. LSU scouted him for the regional where Wofford was in Chapel Hill. LSU didn't base Cowan, but they scouted him, they liked him, they brought him in. He was Wofford's Friday night guy. He now becomes LSU's closer and was lights out all year until in College Station, pitched in 2 games that LSU lost at South Carolina against a putrid team. He got hit around and coughed up a 2-run lead late in the game on Thursday there. So that's a guy LSU has to have probably twice over the course of the weekend at his best to win a regional and then probably once in a super regional. And if he falters like he did in College Station, like he did in Columbia, South Carolina, LSU is in trouble because he's their best bullpen guy. I will say between those 2 outings, he pitched great against Arkansas at the box. So that's a pitcher LSU's got to have. He's not overpowering, but he's got a great changeup, good enough fastball, excellent command, and that's a guy LSU needs. As far as on offense, to me, it's Derek Curiel, who was the best freshman in the country for 11 weeks. And he was hitting everything in sight. He had gotten on base in 43 straight games, was just incredible, and has really kind of hit a wall. And
as all freshmen usually do,
like he was. He hits right in front of Jared Jones, who's the best power hitter in LSU's lineup. And if he doesn't get on base, then you don't have Jared Jones' ability to hit that 2-3-run homer that can really change the game. So I think Curiel in the leadoff spot as a freshman has got to find what he was in February, March, and April and not what he was in May.
So, Hunt, let's begin the Baton Rouge Regional with the late game that could be a squeaky good game at 6:30. It is 40-16 Dallas Baptist taking on 38-20 Rhode Island. Talk about and break down that matchup for us, please.
So Rhode Island really hits. They've hit all year. They have one pitcher.
Okay.
One. He's good. Left-hander, Levesque is his name. And he's going to pitch on Friday. So for LSU, as you're sitting there, if you're an LSU fan, I think the players have got to worry about what they got to do on Friday afternoon. But as a fan, kind of look at it and go, Rhode Island throws their one pitcher on Friday, and they beat Dallas Baptist. They come back on Saturday, and they don't have their guy to face LSU and probably Anthony Ianson on the mound. That's a very, very favorable matchup.
Right.
Rhode Island is the worst RPI 3 seed in the tournament, but they've got one pitcher and a lot of bats. Those bats don't figure to hit Anthony Ianson a ton, and that pitcher's going to face Dallas Baptist on Friday. So that's an interesting piece. Dallas Baptist has been a great program for over a decade. Coach Evener has had them in 11 straight NCAA tournaments, I believe 13 out of 14 NCAA tournaments. Their Friday night guy is an LSU transfer, actually, Micah Bucknam, who was very good for him and then got hurt, missed a month, came back and threw 3 good innings last week. He's got some good stuff. They've got another talented right-hander. So they've got more talent across the board than Rhode Island. Are they one of the best 2 seeds in the field? I don't know that I would go that far. But it's an interesting matchup because Rhode Island is throwing its ace. Dallas Baptist kind of has 2 interchangeable guys there. One will pitch Friday, one will pitch Saturday. But Rhode Island's pushing their chips in to try to get this one here. And I think if you're an LSU fan, you'd like the Rams to win that game on Friday night.
Hunt, I always love regional play, especially when they come to the big SEC ballparks, because sometimes you'll see these teams and you find out that for the entire season they played in front of like 1,100 people total the entire season. and then lo and behold, they'll walk into a place with more than 10,000 folks there. Have you done any studying of how small some of these stadiums are and what the season ticket or season attendance numbers were for some of these small schools?
The Dallas Baptist draws okay. They play in Globe Life. They'll play in some tournaments. They've seen some crowds up there in Texas. Rhode Island and Little Rock. No, Little Rock played at Ole Miss, but they played at Ole Miss for their Kids Day Out game on like a
Yeah,
Tuesday
the
at 11.
education game. Yeah.
Yeah, so that doesn't really count. And then they play in Fayetteville every year, but those are midweek games. This is a regional. This will be a completely different animal. To your point, though, I have seen both spectrums of that in Baton Rouge. I watched a Stony Brook team that had never played in front of anybody show up in Baton Rouge and play great and beat LSU consecutive games and handle the crowd great. I watched UCLA come in here in 2000 in a super. Chase Utley was on that team, and they played in front of more fans at the old box in 2 days than they had in all their home games combined in LA, where nobody cares about what they're doing in college baseball. And after that super regional was over, they actually came. LSU swept them in 2 games. It was a national championship team with Brad Cressy and Ryan Terrio and Brad Hall. I mean, they were just an exceptional team in 2000, and they crushed UCLA in back-to-back games. And the UCLA team came out of the dugout and actually tipped their caps to the LSU fans for coming out and watching college baseball. So I've seen it work both ways. More often than not, LSU gets it done in front of those crowds. This is the 28th regional LSU will have hosted. In the previous 27, they're 24-3. So they usually get out. But I've seen Coastal come in here. I've seen Stony Brook come in here. I've seen Houston come in here and win. It just doesn't happen very often.
So, Hunt, LSU and the Baton Rouge Regional is paired up with Clemson. Briefly, give us your thoughts on the Clemson Regional that could potentially match up with LSU in the Supers, please.
Yeah, so the Clemson Regional got 3 Power Fives, or Power Fours, I guess it is now. You got Clemson, you got West Virginia, and Kentucky. LSU didn't get any in theirs. They obviously got Dallas Baptist, and then you look at smaller schools like Rhode Island and Little Rock. So there's a little bit more experience in front of big crowds if one of those schools has got to come to the box. Clemson, Cam Canarella is as exciting a center fielder as there is in college baseball. He's sensational. I don't think a ton of Kentucky's team. They don't pitch it great. They don't hit for power. They came here in a super 2 years ago with a better team and got beat pretty good. Jay Johnson and Nick Mingione are very, very good friends. They're best friends. So there's another dynamic there if Kentucky comes here for a super regional 2 out of 3 years. But I think LSU's draw is favorable. That doesn't mean you're going to get through, but it's favorable. You don't have a P5 team here in the regional, and I don't think the teams across from you in the super are as talented as LSU. So we'll see.
So finally, Hunt, you cover this LSU baseball team on a regular basis. As we walk out the door, what is the ceiling for this LSU baseball team this season?
I said after the Saturday game against Arkansas 3 weeks ago that I'd seen enough, that LSU is good enough to win the whole thing. Okay. That doesn't mean they're not going to finish on Sunday and be done for the year. But I don't see a juggernaut in college baseball this year. And I think LSU's 1-2 punch of Ianson and Anderson sets them up in a regional super in Omaha to do whatever it is they want. If they hit like they did in Hoover or College Station or Auburn, they're not going very far. But if they play like they did against Arkansas, against Tennessee, even at Texas for the majority of that series, they'll be okay. They're good enough to do it all, but it's a weird sport that can produce some crazy outcomes, and that's why it's so much fun. So I can't wait to get it started on Friday.
Hunt, you look at a team like Georgia, they struggle with left-handed pitching. What is the one thing LSU struggles with as a team that could be a weakness here in regional play?
It's interesting. There was a time there where they weren't hitting lefties, but some of those lefties were Liam Doyle and Brian Prager from Texas A&M and Justin Lampkin from A&M, and really, really talented left-handed arms that not a lot of people are hitting. It's not a weakness that I can give you a reason for.
Yeah.
They don't hit away from the box. I don't have a reason for that. I don't know why they didn't hit at Auburn. I don't know why they didn't hit in Hoover. But they face really good arms in Baton Rouge and have hit them. So they'll be in Baton Rouge for 2 weeks, and then if they do well there, they'll go to Omaha and they won't be in Baton Rouge anymore. I can't tell you if they're going to hit there or not. It would be easier for me to say, yeah, they don't have any bullpen arms I can trust, or yeah, they don't catch the ball in the middle infield, or yeah, they got one ace, but they don't have a second starter. Like, they do catch it great. They do have a second starter. They have really good bullpen arms. They just don't hit away from the box. And there's no statistical or like philosophical reason for that. It's just one of those things.
Yes. So Hunt, look, man, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join us. Good luck to LSU playing at home at Alex Box, and hopefully we can catch up with you next week when we can talk LSU and the Supers.
Y'all better believe it. Thanks.
Hey,
All right.
and one more thing. Go Tigers, my friend.
Always go Tigers. Thanks, guys.
All right.
All right, be good, brother.
So, Heath, that is going to put a wrap on the LSU and the Baton Rouge Regional. Really do want to thank Hunt Palmer of 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. And once again, the LSU Regional is matched up with the Clemson Regional. And whoever gets out of both of those will face off in the Supers next week. And that is going to put a wrap on the Baton Rouge Regional Preview Show right here on the Stingray Show.